Here are the tools we'll be using to install the Orient Power Powerwall Battery's wall mount bracket onto a masonry wall. On the far left you have a hammer drill. You can try to use a normal drill that happens to have a hammer drill function, but you will be there for a very long time and I do not recommend it. You also have a 3/8 drill bit meant for masonry there next to the hammer drill. You do need specific drill bits for masonry. A normal drill bit will not work. You can also use a 10mm if you live in a different country, but in the United States 10mm masonry drill bits are hard to come by. 3/8 is close enough. Then you have the bolts that came with the battery, a ruler to measure the proper depth of your holes, a screwdriver with some tape on it marked at 60mm depth so you can measure how deep the holes are that you have drilled, a hammer to drive the bolts into the holes, and your socket set. Now you can of course have your socket set with the missing 17mm and 19mm like mine if you wish, but it's not required. Note I have put a piece of tape at 60mm on my drill bit just to make sure that I don't drill too deep. I would recommend still checking the depth with some kind of screwdriver or piece of wire that's also marked at 60mm to make sure your depth is accurate. I would also suggest using a vacuum to suck the dust out of the holes before you measure, otherwise you may get an inaccurate measurement. After drilling the holes in the wall, and that will take some time depending what tools you have available to you, you will take your hammer and you'll notice that on the tip of these bolts is a flat spot that does not have any threads on it, so you can actually pound these into the holes without having to use any kind of block or other thing to protect the threads. You do not want to drive them flush with the wall. You want to make sure that there's enough threads poking out of the wall to let you bolt the bracket to the wall. If you hammer them flush with the wall, you will not be able to bolt the bracket to it. After pounding your expansion bolts into the holes in your wall, install the wall bracket by placing the wall bracket on the bolts on the wall, and then install the nuts and use your socket set, or you can use an impact driver to tighten down the nuts. How these work is when you tighten down the nut, this part of the bolt comes forward and compresses this sleeve, which makes the sleeve expand in the hole. That way the bolt cannot pull out of the wall ever again. You get one shot at this, so don't mess it up. This is my Orient Power wall-mounted battery. Weighs about 110 pounds. And I want to put it up on that wall there. Unfortunately, I am not strong enough to lift 110 pounds up to shoulder height. So this is my solution here. It is a 1-ton chain hoist that I got from Lowe's. Went to 3 different stores just to find it in stock. And I'm hoping that it can lift 110 pounds up to that bracket successfully. And I guess we're going to find out here shortly. I have a bit of a kink in my plan here, unfortunately. As you can see, the chain is stuck between the pulley and the housing on my brand new chain hoist. So I guess I get to take it apart before I can do what I need to do. Okay, great. Thanks, Lowe's. Tool is fixed, so now maybe I can actually lift my battery into place if I'm lucky. Though I don't usually have a lot of luck, so fingers crossed, I guess. We'll wait and see. A very cheerful purple strap run through the handles on either side of the battery. Hopefully it holds and I don't drop this very expensive battery on the floor from 7 feet in the air. Got it all rigged up here. So hopefully the chain won't get too much in the way of getting the battery onto the bracket. She's in the air. All I can say is next time I'm buying a server rack battery, This is a pain in my neck and my hands. Well, I've run out of height, unfortunately. I guess I shouldn't have tried this on a 7-foot ceiling basement. I guess we'll have to see if I'm strong enough to get it up a little bit further than that, just with my hands. All I can say is thank you, Orient Power, for putting the handles on the bottom, because otherwise I would not have gotten that up the last few inches onto the brackets. Whew. Well, she's all installed. Seems fairly level as far as that goes. So next up, we need to wire up these Signature Solar 600 amp bus bars, and then run some wires from that battery and the Franken battery that I have that's going to be on the floor there. And then I need to run over to my inverter setup over here. I've had the Orient Power Powerwall installed for a few weeks now. It's been cycling in parallel with my Franken battery down there with 0 issues. It's currently connected with 2-gauge wire to a pair of Signature Solar 600 amp bus bars which are underneath that cover there. And again, 0 issues to report with it. I do have it hooked up with an RS-232 cable to Solar Assistant. That is not my final installation of Solar Assistant. That is a work in progress, obviously. But turns out the foam tape does not stick to Creepboard very well. But nevertheless, it does communicate over RS-232 to Solar Assistant with no issues whatsoever. And it also will talk straight to the EG4 6500EX, also with no issues. You just set it to pylon and it finds it, and there's no drama whatsoever. So I have nothing bad to say about this other than it's heavy and hard to get on the wall, but any battery that you want on the wall is going to have that same problem. So if you want to get an RS-232 cable to connect to the Orient Power battery, you can use this cable, which is only $13 on Amazon currently, or you can order the one from Orient Power, but when I priced it, it was $20 for the cable and $20 to ship the cable. So for a lot less than $40, you can get a working cable that I have confirmed to work with Solar Assistant. In fact, I'm using it currently with Solar Assistant.